There is absolutely no point to this shot. I just want to see how camera does in low light. Today, I want to answer a question that people have been asking me. And the question is something like this. Nikolai, what's up with you and relativity? Whenever we ask you technical question or we talk about, you always talk about relativity. Relativity this, relativity that, it's got a script, it's got an application, there is a relativity plugin, so on. But are there any other tools in your life? Why is everything relativity with you? So I think today is a good day to answer this question. It's gray, rainy, cold, kind of miserable. Let's just hang out in the park, sit somewhere on a bench, and I will tell you a story about how I became a relativity user. Now, if you're into stories, please join me for this video, and if you're not, come back next week for, all the normal stuff we do. But maybe I'll find one of these benches over here, and let's talk about that. So in order to tell you how I became a relativity user, I gotta give you a little bit of backstory about how I started using ediscovery software. And the first ediscovery software I used was Discovery Cracker. And that was really the first proper ediscovery tool that came out. There were a few others, I believe, but that was the first one that could process and TIFF and so on. And we were using that for a while, and it was okay, it was doing its thing. But it was getting kind of slow, and it wasn't really getting updated. There were talks about new version where you could schedule batches and queue jobs back and forth, but that wasn't really happening. So what we started doing is looking around and evaluating other software packages. We had different sales rep come into our conference room, they sit down, they show us their software, and we've seen a few of them, and we're sitting there like, okay, I guess it's not terrible, maybe. And then a person showed up, I believe salesperson for Cricket, and they showed us the software, and we were like, okay, not bad, not bad. Maybe there is a way we can make it work, like there is a promise there. So we looked at that, pretty carefully, evaluated how we could fit it in and so on. And then sales rep from LexisNexis, or maybe Image Capture, showed up, and he showed us low pre-discovery. And as soon as we've seen that, it was like, whoa, that's perfect. That's exactly what we need. And we used to use with Access a lot, and so bringing things in the grid in low and filtering and sending for export, it just fit perfectly with how we used to work with other applications, and we knew right away, we knew exactly that's what we want, that is the thing. And of course, as soon as we started using it, it was like that, what do you call it, like a breath of fresh air. It's like, yes, finally, we got it. This works, it's awesome. And we've been using, or I've been using low pre-discovery in probably 3 different places I worked at over many years, and it was wonderful. But just like Discovery Cracker, low started to get outdated as well. LexisNexis, who owned them at that time, did not create any new features. They didn't scale up the processing capacity to the levels that were needed at that time. Hosting offering with their concordance FYI was just also getting outdated. And again, we started looking for what else is out there. We were looking at other processing/hosting solutions. And that's when we discovered Relativity. No longer you had to, kick all the users out of a database to create a field like you had to do with FYI. Or you didn't have to keep track of doc IDs. So in low, when you set up loading on multiple stations, you have to assign different prefix so it doesn't create duplicate IDs, and you have to keep track of which one was using where, like all these stupid things that should have been automated. Relativity just handled them. And again, that was that next step where once we started using it, it was like, yes, finally, we don't have to deal with the stupid stuff. We can concentrate on what we need to do. This is great. And that's how I became a Relativity user. I've used it for many, many years. I've learned how to write scripts in Relativity, which are SQL scripts. I learned how to program, how to build custom applications. I've learned ins and outs of their backend. And that's pretty much what I know now is Relativity, because I've used it so much for so many years. But now the question on your mind, is there next thing after Relativity? So I think the answer is yes and no. Why it's yes? Well, there are new companies out there like Logical and Disco who dramatically simplify e-discovery. They take what is really complicated, such as relativity, where you have multiple certifications, you got manuals, you got books, and they bring it down to a point where you can, just drag and drop your files in and go review, and you're done. You don't have to learn anything, right? So I believe those companies are making a huge change in how we're going to be doing some of this e-discovery in the future. But there is also a no side, and no side is they're not quite there yet. And there are two reasons why I don't think they're ready yet. One is I still don't trust their processing. Whenever we do processing at work, we work with files, there are always problems. There are always some kind of issues. And whenever you use one of these self-service companies, it seems like everything works too magically, right? And I always question, do we not see something? Is there something behind the scenes that isn't presented to us just to make things simpler? And to answer that is yes, actually. There are error logs that you can download, but they're really hard to read and they're hard to act on. So if there are problems, you kind of just tempted to kind of throw the errors out and kind of move on. The second reason for no is features. There are not enough features in some of these software packages to make them complete. So some of them are used, production modules were severely lacking. But again, those are the things that will be improved over time. So yes and no, I guess I'm gonna say no for now. But we need to keep an eye on these companies and see where they will take processing and review to. And maybe they're going to be the next step after relativity. So there you go. Now you guys know why I always talk about relativity. Relativity is my life right now. This is what I do every day. I write applications in relativity. I write applications for relativity. I do all my work in relativity right now. So that's what I'll be talking about in some time to come until something better comes along, or relativity gets better and better, and I'll be staying with it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please hit the follow button if you're on LinkedIn, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and I will see you in the next video.